This video today will be on American imperialism. This isn't Russian Soviet propaganda. This is really a period in which the United States was imperialist at the very end of the 19th century and the first couple of years of the 20th century. Throughout the 19th century, Britain and France had been gobbling up colonies around the world and were each boasting that my empire is bigger than yours. And Germany was trying to get into the act, claiming that because they'd formed as a nation only recently, they were slow in getting colonies and were determined to catch up. And the patriots in the United States, led by the president, William McKinley, said, hey, we're the best country on earth. We're a democracy, we're free, we're absolutely wonderful. We ought to have some colonies too. And the whole thing arose about American power and American projection of power throughout the world. It also formed an important role in healing the United States in the aftermath of the Civil War and creating a renewed American identity that both North and South could share. And at the time, it's very hard to believe, but there was a large school of people that were pro-war, in favor of war. Theodore Roosevelt, when he was governor of New York, and Henry Cabot Lodge, the senator from Massachusetts, would talk to each other about what this country needs is a good war to restore its moral fiber and restore its sense of martial strength and its national unity. And they actually wanted a war for war's sake. Well, they got one in the Spanish-American War of 1898, which was launched on the flimsiest of pretenses. Allegedly, the Spanish government that owned Cuba destroyed the battleship Maine when it anchored in Havana Harbor. In fact, probably it was destroyed by the rebels who we sided with, but it won't be the last time the United States sided with people that are its enemies. Look at Syria today. Anyway, we won the war very quickly. The irony was that for each battlefield death, we had about 10 from disease. But America was suddenly projected as a global power. We conquered the Philippines, Hawaii, Guam, a whole mess of islands in the South Pacific, and conquered Cuba. And that led to a period of imperialism when the United States really boasted its ability to intervene all over the world. Theodore Roosevelt built a gigantic fleet of ships called the Great White Fleet and took great pride in its circling the earth and calling on ports of call all the way along. And then he fomented a revolution in Panama that was really a set-up job to separate Panama from Colombia, because Colombia was not going to let us build a canal, but the rebels in Panama said, if you give us our independence, we'll let you build the canal. So we intervened in all of this stuff. Our morality was not very good, and our hands were not very clean. This triggered a large backlash in the United States of anti-imperialists, liberals, progressives, led by William Jennings Bryan, who thought that imperialism was the wrong thing for us to do and would destroy our national fiber. And the issue was basically settled by World War I when we learned to stay out of European wars if we possibly could. But the imperialist interregnum in the United States from about 1895 to about 1910 was a very important era in the U.S. Ultimately, Henry Kissinger wrote a book called Diplomacy, where he said there were two schools of thought that dominated American foreign policy: national interest, as articulated by Theodore Roosevelt, and international law and morality and values, as articulated by Woodrow Wilson. And he said that those are always at war in shaping American foreign policy. You can see it now, where we don't feel we have any national interest in Syria, but we do feel a humanitarian need to stop the slaughter. And there were issue in Iraq, oil versus getting rid of Saddam Hussein because of his conduct. There are always the two schools in American foreign policy dueling for control of our system. And the national interest one really started with the imperialist age. And the values one started with the reaction to it. You could really say that American foreign policy dates from the very last years of the 19th century. Thanks for watching.